I think my favorite thing from the conversation that I just got to have with Dr. Banawa, I like to call her Dr. B, is the spin-off. I thought that was the coolest part. So, not really the coolest part, because Dr. B had so many power tips for us. Some of the things she talked about that I don't want to forget is don't overcomplicate it, right? Make it simple. So my takeaway from that amazing conversation was that it's easier to eat healthy and clean when we just take the time to kind of stop and think about what we're putting in our bodies, right? Because our bodies, man, it's just such an incredible engine if we put the right fuel in it. So one of the recipes that we're going to do for baking, so kitchen essentials with an emphasis on health and wellness goes right into baking. This is our second baking segment, and I thought, why not keep it easy and simple, but really delicious? So we're gonna make a bread, and we're gonna make a bread with 5 ingredients. And the great thing about this, I cook for about 90 seniors right now, or elders in my community. And the awesome thing that we get to do for them is to kind of tailor some of their foods for some of their ailments. So we have kidney issues, we have heart, we have inflammation, we have diabetes, we have keto, we have gluten-free, grain-free. There's so much. This bread actually fits all of that. The only thing you have to swap out is if you're going to use cashew nut butter, you can also make macadamia nut butter, walnut, you name it. You got to kind of find that nut family that best resonates for how you need to empower your body and, you know, be conscientious of maybe what you're going through if you have diabetes or cancer, or if you just want to live powerfully and you're feeling really good, but you want to knock out some of those processed foods, right? Because we want to stay away from sugar, and we want to stay away from all of those flours. So with that said, we have 5 ingredients. We're going to have cashew nut butter in this recipe, 5 eggs, baking soda, salt, and apple cider vinegar, and you'll see the recipe at the end of this. I have these 2 great butters. If you're going to use butter, please use a good clean butter. This is fantastic. And for my vegans out there, another great nut butter. So what I did is I have a ceramic pan. I don't really like to bake in the nonstick pans as much because if you are going to bake in a nonstick, you really want to know what is in that nonstick pan so it doesn't leach into your food. So I've got a ceramic pan, it's already buttered. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cream 5 eggs with a cup of cashew nut butter. I always like to pre-crack my eggs, and I think for those of you who saw the Basque cake episode with my daughter Gabrielle, she prefers to not pre-crack her eggs. I do because in the kitchen, for me, commercially, I need to make sure that I don't have any shells in the recipe. Who wants that extra crunch? You don't need that. All right, and I've got my awesome compost bag right here. I'm not going to save eggshells in my stock scrap bin. I'm going to save the eggshells in my compost scrap bin, and I'm going to make sure that those go right to my farmer at the end of the week, or you can put them in your garden, right? Fantastic fertilization for the garden. All right, so we have our 5 eggs. We have our 1 cup of cashew nut butter. I would normally suggest that you use a mixer for this. You can also just get a bowl and a really strong whisk. You're gonna get a total workout, but if that's your thing and you want to do it, go for it, because you have to cream this. And nut butter is, you know, it's not easy to cream with a whisk. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this in the mixer. Scrape all those bits and pieces out. Look at that. Get it all in there. Don't want to leave any behind. As I get it everywhere else too. That's okay. All right, get that out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this baby on. There we go. Always being cognizant to pull down your sides, even in your Cuisinart. You always want to pull those bits and pieces down, pull up the stuff from the bottom. I'm going to cream this one more time. It takes, in the mixer, you just keep pulsing. In the stand mixer, you have to do it a few times to really incorporate everything. And how you know it's incorporated, your nut butter and your eggs, is you just have that same color all the way around. You're not going to see streaks of nut butter that are a little darker with the eggs. So here we go again. So I'm going to give it one more scrape because you want this to bake right. Everything has to be incorporated for it to bake right. And then we're going to mix in our salt and our baking soda as we're already mixing. Pull those sides down one more time. Now in the mixer, you would still be having to take that top off and make sure that you've pulled the sides down. Then we're going to go ahead, as we're mixing, we're going to go ahead and add our apple cider vinegar, which is, yep, right here. Okay, here we go. We look good. We're there. So I'm going to fight the stand mixer to get this. Oh, look at that. It came right off. Yeah. I was going to say I was going to fight her to get it off. All right. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we scrape out all this extra yumminess. Now, you're going to be like, okay, there's no flour. Wait a minute. What else are you putting in? So you're going to look at this consistency and it's not going to register for a lot of my bakers out there. Maybe for some of my home cooks that don't bake as much. First time I did this, I was terrified. I'm like, no way, nothing's gonna happen here. Get it? Nothing? All right, so you see this consistency? That's about the consistency you want if you were to pick it up. So you see it's not too liquidy. Being mindful of the size of eggs, this recipe calls for large eggs, not extra large and not small. Being mindful of that will either get you a drier batter or a looser batter. And if you see any dry bits, see there's some dry bits down there, you want to mix those in. And in a stand mixer, you're going to have that issue. If you do this in your Cuisinart, you're not going to have that issue. Oh. I'm going to grab a larger spatula because this is what they're for. I do love these little guys though, because they always get those little edges that you can't get with these big guys. Okay, so right in. Remember, this is already buttered. My oven is at 350 and it is preheated. Dun, 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 dun. Sure takes a hot minute. It's sticky. So you think that it would be a workout with a whisk? This is a workout. Okay, and I want all of that. I want to get all of that in here. Scrape this off real quick. And then this is going to go right in the oven. That's it, gang. Just move that around, give it a little bang. See those little air bubbles? There we go. All right, this is ready to go in the oven. So now we're going to move on to our next bread. Same ingredient profile, but we're going to pull the egg whites out and we're going to peak those. So we're going to whisk them until they peak, and then we're going to add steam to the baking process, and it's going to be a little bit different. All right. All right, gang. same bread, but we're going to add a few ingredients. This is 7 ingredients in this bread, and this is really great for reduced carbohydrate diets, concerned carbohydrate diets. Paleo, keto, all of it lends to this. I really love this recipe because adding the egg whites is really going to fluff it up. And then we're going to put steam in the oven, so we get that kind of that white bread, that white sandwich bread look and appeal. All right, so here we go. We've got our mixer. We've got we have egg whites in this. We have egg yolks. We have our cashew nut butter. We have apple cider vinegar. I'm choosing to use oat milk. We have lots of different milks we can use. If I like to keep dairy out of this, but a raw milk if you like to use dairy. It'll make it a little heavier. Oat milk, fantastic oat milk from Elmhurst, or obviously you have your almond milk. Same with our butters. We have a cow butter, and we also have a vegan butter to make sure that our ceramic pan is already ready to go. And our oven's at 350, it's preheated. Let's do this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get our nut butter in our mixer, and we are going to cream it this time with all the wet ingredients. All right, get you in there. And again, don't forget, you can, like I know with any kidney issues, macadamia nut's going to be the better nut. You can use macadamia nut butter. You can make that at home. And we're going to show you how to do that as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lift my mixer up and just get it started. Going to add the eggs all at one time. Okay. Going to go ahead and add that milk. 1/4 cup. My 1 cup of my nut butter, 4 of my egg yolks. Notice there were not any egg whites in there. And then my apple cider vinegar, 2½ tablespoons. My dry is standing by, my egg whites are standing by. We got to kind of hustle because we don't want our egg whites to drop. All right, go ahead and scrape our sides. We know from the last spread we did, we know from baking that Basque cake, it's important to incorporate all your ingredients by making sure you take the time to stop your stand mixer, your Cuisinart, your blender, whatever, and get everything incorporated. Super important. All right, here we go again, starting slow, and then we'll work up our speed. All right, one more time here. You do get a workout when you're baking with nut butters, that's for sure. It really helps those biceps. You don't have to think about, one of the great things Dr. Banawa, Dr. B was talking about is it's not just your food, right? It's also being cognizant of what is around you, all of the technology that's around you, limiting your social media times, opting out of Facebook for a book or some family time, and moving. Like walking is fantastic for you. Absolutely fantastic. Get out and walk for 5 minutes, 15 minutes. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and one of the things that the doctor had said is sprint once a week. Go outside. I don't care if it's 7 seconds, and just sprint. I gotta try it. Okay, another mix. Awesome, we look nice and creamed. I'm gonna go ahead and start to add the dry, and then we're gonna add the egg whites. Just a little at a time. All right, let's incorporate that. I would like to share with you this recipe. It is a very thoughtful recipe and has been worked out time and time again, not by me. I have borrowed this recipe from Danielle Walker. She has an amazing blog called Against All Grain. And she's just, I haven't met her in person, but I follow her and just have been admiring a lot of her recipes. This is one of them I've watched her kind of tweak and change, and I would be remiss if I didn't share that this is her recipe, not mine. And it's so delicious, and hats off to her. Okay, so now this is incorporated quite well. I like, sometimes this recipe can call for honey or maple syrup. I added 2 teaspoons of monk fruit, the white monk fruit from Lecanto, to this recipe to get a little bit of a change up. And you can try this at home too. You can change up this bread by, adding a sweetener if you like. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. We're gonna mix in our egg whites. Smells like it's dying. I'm gonna put in half. I'm gonna let that incorporate. I don't want to kill my egg whites. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest in here because I'm just cognizant of those egg whites falling. We don't want that to happen because it's those egg whites with all that air that's gonna give the bread that fluff. Did I just say fluff? I just said fluff. Okay, let's go ahead and pull all of this together. I can see right away in the stand mixer that what is happening is I'm missing all those ingredients from the bottom. So I'm kind of getting this surface blend. So we're gonna go ahead again on a super high speed. The thing is, it's this fine line with egg whites. You also can't over blend your egg whites or they'll just fall and turn to soup, and you don't want that either. So again, I would say the best way to do this recipe is going to be with a hand mixer in a bowl. All right, one more, not too long at all, because again, I'm being protective of my egg whites. And then we're gonna pull it out and put it in this pan and get it in the oven, 350 degrees, 45 minutes. I'm going to pull it down. I want to get this batter off of my blade, my paddle. All right. Okay, the fun part. Get it in that pan, get it in the oven, and I'm just so excited to share these recipes with you. I would love to see you do both if you can, so you can see the difference for yourself. If not, do one. But you're gonna love it. It's just delicious. It's so funny because you're like, oh, just with those ingredients, that's gotta be really weird. It's not at all. It's delicious bread for French toast. It's for those of you who can't even have French toast, you get to have French toast with this. A sandwich, make it just a beautiful sandwich again for those of you who normally don't eat bread. For those of you that eat a lot of bread and you just don't care, this is awesome, and I want you to try it because something like this can be revolutionary in your diet. Good job, chef. Get that out of that bowl. Okay, in the oven we go. 350, 45 minutes. All right, you see our pan of water here? That's going to create steam, which is going to give this bread a lighter color. Okay, so here's our 2 breads. Can you see the difference? This one's lighter in color because we used a little bit of steam, a pan of water while it was baking. And this one's a little darker. So this is our 5 ingredient. This is our 7 ingredient. Let's go ahead and cut into this baby. Oh, look at that. Come on. I'm gonna cut this way. Ooh, la la la. Look at the difference here too in color. Let me show you this. You can see the difference in color, right? Basically the same ingredients. You can also see it. This one is definitely, look at that. way spongier. This one is firmer. So this is the egg whites with the water. This is not. That's okay. They're both delicious. This is just a few more steps. So, oh my goodness, so many ways you can eat this. Like I said before, you can make a sandwich, you can make French toast, you could slice it thinner, you can slice it thicker. You can use a taller pan than the one I used to get a taller bread. But I'm going to go ahead and use some of the nut butter that we just made. I would even go so far as to, pears are coming into season, slice this up, put a nice wedge right on top of that. Why not? Not forgetting our knife skill sensibility. I'm using a bread knife, but that's okay because I just want to show you this right now. Just like that. Really easy. Delicious. Okay, so this is your assignment to make one of these or both of these, and let me know during class how it worked out. For all of you home cooks that are tuning in, email us, info@eatmarketplace.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks so much, and we'll see you for the next class. This is Chef Leah with Eat Marketplace in partnership with Rancho Family Medical Group and MSJC, and welcome to fall. I'm gonna eat the rest of this now that we're done shooting.